اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله، السلام عليك يا خيرة الله وابن خيرته، السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين وابن سيد الوصيين، السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة سيدة نساء العالمين، السلام عليك يا ثار الله وابن ثاره والوتر الموتور، السلام عليك وعلى الأرواح التي هلت بفنائك، عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار. يا أبا عبد الله، لقد عظمت الرزية وجلت وعظمت مصيبة بك علينا وعلى جميع أهل الإسلام، وجلت وعظمت مصيبتك في السماوات على جميع أهل السماوات، فلعن الله أمة أسست أساس ظلم والجور عليكم أهل البيت، ولعن الله أمة دفعتكم عن مقامكم وأزلتكم عن مراتبكم التي رتبكم الله فيها، ولعن الله أمة قتلتكم، ولعن الله مماهدين لهم بالتمكين من قتالكم. برئت إلى الله وإليكم منهم ومن أشيائهم وأتباعهم ومن أشيائهم وأتباعهم وأوليائهم. يا أبا عبد الله، إني سلم لمن سالمكم وحرب لمن هاربكم إلى يوم القيامة، ولعن الله على زياد وعلى مروان، ولعن الله بني أمية، ولعن الله بني أمية قاطبة، ولعن الله ابن مرجانة، ولعن الله ابن سعد، ولعن الله الشمران، ولعن الله أمة أسرجت والجمت وتنقبت لقتالك. بأبي أنت وأمي لقد أضم مصابي بك، فاسأل الله الذي أكرم مقامك وأكرمني بك أن يرزقني طلب ثارك مع إمام منصور من أهل بيت محمد صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم اجعلني عندك وجيها بالحسين عليه السلام في الدنيا والآخرة. يا أبا عبد الله، إني أتقرب إلى الله وإلى رسوله وإلى أمير المؤمنين وإلى فاطمة وإلى الحسن وإليك بموالاتك وبالبراءة ممن قتلك ونسبا لك الحرب، وبالبراءة ممن أسس أساس ظلم والجور عليكم، وأبرأ إلى الله وإلى رسوله ممن أسس أساس ذلك وبنى عليه بنيانه وجرى في ظلمه وجوره عليكم وعلى أشيائكم. برئت إلى الله وإليكم منهم، وتقربوا إلى الله ثم إليكم بموالتكم وموالة وليكم وبالبراءة من أعدائكم والناصبين لكم الحرب وبالبراءة من أشيائهم وأتباعهم. إني سلم لمن سالمكم وحرب لمن هاربكم وولي لمن والاكم وعدو لمن عاداكم. فاسأل الله الذي أكرمني بمعرفتكم ومعرفة أوليائكم ورزقني البراءة من أعدائكم، أن يجعلني معكم في الدنيا والآخرة، ويثبت لي إنكم قدم صدق في الدنيا والآخرة، وأسأله أن يبلغني المقام المحمود لكم عند الله ويرزقني طلب ثاري مع إمام هدى ظاهر ناطق بالحق منكم، وأسأل الله بحقكم وبشأن الذي لكم عنده أن يعطيني بمصاب بكم أفضل ما يعطي مصابا بمصيبته، مصيبة ما أعظمها وأعظم رزيتها في الإسلام وفي جميع السماوات والأرض. اللهم اجعلني في مقام هذا ممن تناله منك صلوات ورحمة ومغفرة. اللهم اجعل محياي محيا محمد وآل محمد، ومماتي ممات محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إن هذا يوم تبركت به بنو أمية وابن آكلة الأكباد اللعين ابن اللعين على لسانك ولسان نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله بكل موطن وموقف وكفى فيه نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم لعن أبا سفيان ومعاوية ويزيد بن معاوية عليهم منك اللعنة أبد العابدين. وهذا يوم فرحت به آل زياد وآل مروان بقتلهم الحسين صلوات الله عليه. اللهم فدائف عليهم اللعن منك والعذاب العليم. اللهم إني أتقرب إليك في هذا اليوم وفي موقفي هذا وأيام حياتي بالبراءة منهم ولعنة عليهم وبالموالاة لنبيك وآل نبيك عليه وآلهم السلام. اللهم لعن أول ظالم ظلم حق محمد وآل محمد وآخر تاب له على ذلك. اللهم لعن إسابة التي جحدت الحسين وشايعات وبايعات وتابعت على قتله. اللهم لعنهم جميعا. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. اللهم خص أنت أول ظالم باللعن مني وابدأ به أولا ثم الثانية والثالثة والرابع. اللهم لعن يزيد خامسة ولعن عبيد الله بن زياد وابن مرجان وعمر بن سعد وشمران وآل أبي سفيان وآل زياد وآل مروان إلى يوم القيامة. اللهم لك الحمد حمد الشاكرين لك على مصابهم، الحمد لله على عظيم رزيته. اللهم ارزقني شفاعة الحسين يوم الورود، وثبت قدم صدق عندك مع الحسين وأصحاب الحسين الذين بذلوا محجهم دون الحسين عليه السلام. سورة الفاتحة.
صلوات. अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको पत्थर क्यों आ रहे हैं। अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको पातर क्यों आ रहे हैं, कैसा है ये चरागाह, दिल डूबा जा रहे हैं, क्या शाम आ गया है। अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको पाथर क्यों आ रहे हैं, मेज़ों पे जितने सर हैं एक सर है उनमें ऐसा, आंखें है बंद उसकी और खाक पर है ये गिरता, अब्बास का ये सर है तेवर बटा रहे हैं, क्या शाम आ गया है। अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको पत्थर क्यों आ रहे हैं, आया जो बाबे सातिर रोके गए ये मुसाफिर, कहता शिमर इनको करना बे ये ना हाजिर, दरबार को अभी हम दुल्हन बना रहे हैं, क्या शाम आ गया है। अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको पत्थर क्यों आ रहे हैं, माओ के गोदियों से लिपटे हुए हैं बच्चे, हैं हाथ रस्सियों में माओ से जकरे, बच्चे जो गिर रहे हैं वो मरते जा रहे हैं, क्या शाम आ गया है। अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको पत्थर क्यों आ रहे हैं, होने लगी अजाने कैसे सरों को धान पे, बाजों बुंदे हुए हैं खून रो रही हैं, आँखों के खून से रस्ते खून में नहा रहे हैं, क्या शाम आ गया है। अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको पत्थर क्यों आ रहे हैं, है लोग किस तरह के हमसे ये दुआ करे, ए कह दो दुआ दो ये दीन ना हम पे आए, लेकर दुआएं हमसे दिल भी दुखा रहे हैं, क्या शाम आ गया है। अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको पत्थर क्यों आ रहे हैं, इतना चाल है पैदल कांटों पे सर कैदी, थक जाती चलते चलते चलती अगर जमीन भी, पैरों के आबले भी आंसू बहा रहे हैं, क्या शाम आ गया है। अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको पत्थर क्यों आ रहे हैं, रेहा कायदियों में बुरपाता शोरे का जिरिया, बालों से कर रही थी मातम जो बिन्त ज़हरा, सज्जाद नोहा ख्वा है नोहा सुना रहे हैं, क्या शाम आ गया है। अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको पत्थर क्यों आ रहे हैं, अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको पत्थर क्यों आ रहे हैं। सलाम।
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. نازوں کے پالے بیٹا آج جولی میں پلاؤں، آخر حسین ماہو، کتنی تپش ہے بیٹا سایہ تیرا بناؤں، آخر حسین ماہو. حکم یزید آیا تیروں پہ تیر آیا، لاشوں کے بعد لاشا زہرا کے گھر کا آیا. تنہا تجھے یہاں پر میں کیسے چھوڑ جاؤں، آخر حسین ماہو. کتنی تپش ہے بیٹا سایہ تیرا بناؤں، آخر حسین ماہو. اجڑے نگر کسی کا کرتی ہوں میں دعائیں، مقتل میں آ کے تجھ کو دیتی ہوں میں صدائیں. کیوں بولتا نہیں ہے آ کے تجھے مناؤں، آخر حسین ماہو. خنجر چلانا اس پہ ہے نازوں کا یہ پالا، گردن نہ کاٹ اس کی احمد کا ہے دلارا. دنیا سے جا کے بیٹا کہیں پھر میں مر نہ جاؤں، آخر حسین ماہو. کتنی تپش ہے بیٹا سایہ تیرا بناؤں، آخر حسین ماہو. ڈھونڈوں کہاں پہ جا کے بیٹا کدھر ہے میرا، پانی دیا نہ اس کو جلتا جگر ہے میرا. ٹکڑے اٹھا اٹھا کے لاشا تیرا بناؤں، آخر حسین ماہو. دربار شام میں کیوں زینب کا سر کھلا ہے، ہائے ہائے میری سکینہ کا کرتا بھی جلا ہے. اس حال بے بسی میں بیٹا میں مر نہ جاؤں، آخر حسین ماہو. کتنی تپش ہے بیٹا سایہ تیرا بناؤں، آخر حسین ماہو. صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم.
على محمد وآل محمد. زہرا کے برے گھر میں تباہی کا سما ہے، اٹھتا ہوا شبیر کے خیموں سے دعا ہے، قاصد سے یہ کہہ دو نا سنائے خط صغرا، قاصد سے یہ کہہ دو نا سنائے خط صغرا، لپٹی ہوئی اکبر کے کلیجے سے سنا ہے، گر گر کے سنبھلتے ہیں لیے آتے ہیں شبیر، گر گر کے سنبھلتے ہیں لیے آتے ہیں شبیر، اے درد ٹھہر لاش علی اکبر کی جوان ہے، جنگل میں اکیلا اسے کیوں چھوڑ چلے ہو، جنگل میں اکیلا اسے کیوں چھوڑ چلے ہو، پردیس میں اصغر کا نہ بابا ہے نہ ماں ہے، یا رب کہیں مر جائے نا سجاد سفر میں، یا رب کہیں مر جائے نا سجاد سفر میں، زنجیر میں جگری ہوئی بیمار کی جان ہے، کیوں زینب و کلثوم کی چھنتی ہے ردائیں، کیوں زینب و کلثوم کی چھنتی ہے ردائیں، لٹتی ہے نبی زاد کی عباس کہاں ہے، ظاہر ہے کہ گٹ گٹ کے مری ہوگی سکینہ، ظاہر ہے کہ گٹ گٹ کے مری ہوگی سکینہ، مظلوم کی گردن پہ جو رسی کا نشان ہے، لعنت اللہ قوم الظالمین وسيعلم الذين ظلموا كلمة إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون، صلوا على محمد وعلى
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون يا لها من مصيبة ما أعظمها with all the tragedies that took place on the day of Ashura. You and I sometimes we lose the strength to cry. Sometimes we even lose tears. And what about those women of Ali Muhammad who have not only cried all day, but this crying is only a beginning of what is going to happen to them. And to mu'minin mu'minat, when you listen to the masa'ib, you notice from the 7th night, from the 6th night, every night we dedicate masa'ib to one individual. 6th night, Abdullah ibn Muslim bin Aqil, 7th night Shah Qasim, and then 8th Abul Fadil, 9th Aliyun al-Akbar, 10th Aliyun al-Asghar. The reality is that if you were to recite each and every one's masa'ib in full on one day, we would not be able to give that musibah its haqq. The number 2, your heart breaks when you listen to the manner in which Imam al-Hussein and his family was martyred. If your heart aches when you listen to something that you have not seen, then understand the grief in the heart of Sayyida Zainab and the Rabab who saw what happened with their eyes. The grief of somebody who's seen the tragedy with their eyes is different than the grief from somebody who has heard. Their tears based on what they saw is greater and more painful than the tear for what we have heard. The historians mention within the Maqatil, Sayyid al-Shuhada was beheaded by Shimar al-La'i close to the time of Asr. Very close to the time, put an hour, 2 hours before Salatul Maghrib. This was the time. Shay'un Adim. The narrations say, the historians mention that when they killed Sayyid al-Shuhada, the army of Umar ibn Sa'ad al-La'in ran towards the body of Aba Abdullah alayhi salam, and they began to plunder the belongings of the body of Aba Abdullah, such that the Maqtal says somebody stole the amama of Rasulullah. Another one took the shirt of Aba Abdullah, and another one took the slippers of Aba Abdullah. Allah, Allah. Someone took the sword of Sayyid al-Shuhada. There is a la'in by the name of Bajdal. He says, when I got to the body of Imam al-Hussein, I saw everything was stolen from his body. And I felt regret that I have missed out on stealing something from Aba Abdullah. I la'in ibn al-la'in. So Bajdal says, I was about to walk away, but then I looked at the body of Imam al-Hussein for a second time. I looked closer, I saw that there is a ring on the finger of Aba Abdullah. Allah, Allah, Ya Shi'at al Muhammad. The Masaib of Sham-e-Ghariban, the Mashaib of Sham-e-Ghariban. But we can't leave this night without shedding tears. What will we show our face to Sayyidah Fatima al-Zahra if we didn't cry on a night like this? Bajdal says, I looked at the body of Aba Abdullah and I saw that there is a ring on his finger. Bajdal says, I tried to remove the ring of Aba Abdullah. First time I pulled it, the ring wouldn't come out of the finger. So I tried to pull it for a second and a third time. He says, I really liked the ring, but the ring doesn't come out from the finger. Bajdal Allah says, I removed the khanjar from inside of my mouth. I began to sever the finger of Allah. I began to sever the finger of Aba Abdullah. Bajdal says, I took the ring and I went away. Allah, Allah. Umar ibn Sa'ad and Shimr al-La'in are beating the drums and celebrating on the plains of Karbala. Not only were they celebrating, but they were hurling out insults and threats towards the Khaymaga. At that moment, Umar ibn Sa'ad called out for 10 horsemen. He called out for 10 horsemen to trample over the body of Aba Abdullah. When 10 men came forward, or 10 horses came forward, Umar said, I do not want horses that have been used in the war today. They said, why? He said, if you use a horse that ran in the war today, perhaps that horse will be tired and its legs will not be at full strength to crush the body. They bring me fresh horses that have not been used. The narrations mentioned 10 horses were brought that were not used from the reserves. Allah, Allah. In the middle of Karbala, in the middle of Karbala, you have the body of Aba Abdullah. Umar ibn Sa'ad calls for 10 horsemen. Some of them come from the east of Karbala and some of them on the west of Karbala. Ya Shi'at al Muhammad. They trampled on the body of Abu Abdullah, the body of Imam al-Hussein, the right on this side, the left of the body on the other side, such that they say we crushed the body of Abu Abdullah, mixing the sand and the blood with the bones of Abu Abdullah. Allah, Allah. They trampled over the chest of Imam al-Hussein. Ya Mu'mineen, have you seen where the dhari of Imam al-Hussein is? And have you seen where the madbah of Imam al-Hussein is? The madbah is where Imam al-Hussein's head was severed. And the dhari is where he is buried. Have you seen the distance in between? Did you ever wonder why there was a distance? Because the narration mentions Imam al-Sajjad buried Imam al-Hussein where he found the body. How did the severed body move from here to there? This is under the trampling of the horses. The body was scattered here and there. When the body was trampled from the chest, what was remaining from the body of Abu Abdullah? Umar ibn Sa'ad says, if you have trampled on the chest, turn over what is remaining from the body and trample it from the back. Ya Aba Abdullah. Sham-e-Ghariban, Sham-e-Ghariban. Having trampled the body of Aba Abdullah and looting whatever of his possessions were on his body, Umar ibn Sa'ad says, give me a torch, Allah. And the torch is a wooden stick with a flame on it. He says, give me the torch. They said to him, why do you want a torch? He says, light the torch with the flame for me. They said to Umar ibn Sa'ad, what do you want to do with the torch? He says, I want to light the tents of the Khawarij on fire. The narrations mention that 500 to 1,000 horsemen riding towards the tent of Ali Muhammad. Umar ibn Sa'ad lit the first tent of Ali Muhammad on fire. Allah, Allah. Amongst the burning tents, the women were terrified. The Maktal mentions that the women and the children began to run out in every direction due to the burning tents. There were two little children. They were the children of Abdul Rahman ibn Aqil. Abdul Rahman ibn Aqil was one of the Bani Hashim who was martyred on the day of Ashura. He was married to the daughter of Amirul Mu'mineen, Sayyidah Khadija bint Amirul Mu'mineen. This lady whose haram and her shrine is outside of Masjid al-Kufa. She has just lost her husband in the war. She has two young children. Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam says, when these two children ran out of the burning tent, they were so terrified from the marauding horsemen and because of the hunger and the thirst. And perhaps when they ran out from the burning tents, they fell down and they also got trampled upon. So from the fear and from the looting and from the thirst, the two children were missing. When everything settled and Sayyidah Zainab is gathering the children, she says, these two children are missing. Allah, Allah. She goes to find them. She sees two children who are sleeping under a tree, under a palm tree. When Sayyidah Zainab goes closer, two children are lifeless. They have lost their body from the tragedy of Sham-e-Ghariban. Allah. They burned the tents of Ali Muhammad. The women and the children are running in every direction. Allah ya Shia, Allah ya Shia. At this moment, Sayyidah Ruqayya Sakina alayha salam comes out from the burning tents. As they run out from the burning tents, one from the enemies by the name of Khuli, Allah has put a burning hole in the hearts of the Shias until Yawm al-Qiyamah. As Sakina ran out of the tent, Khuli caught this daughter of Imam al-Hussein. The narrations mention that he snatched out the Days later, when Sayyidah Sakina is with Sayyidah Zainab and they're taken as prisoner, days later, her earlobes were swollen and they were paining. Masoom child, Yatima. She says, Auntie Zainab, why did they snatch it? If he would have asked me, I would have given. Ya Sakina, Allahu Akbar. Sayyidah Sukaina says that as the tents were burning and the men on the horses were looting and hitting every one of us, Sukaina says that I hid behind my auntie Kulthum and I was hoping they would not see me. As the tents began to catch fire, I ran out of one burning tent. She says, I saw one of the Lu'ana behind me hitting the other women with spears.
hairs on their head. So Sukaina alayhi salam says, I ran in the other direction, but as I ran into the other direction, a horseman cornered me and hit me on the shoulder with my spear. Sayyida Kulthum says, Sukaina was hit so hard she fainted on the plains of Karbala. Allah, Allah. Hamid ibn Muslim says, the women and the children were running in every direction, marauding horsemen around them, looting them, assaulting them. In everything that was happening, he says, I saw that there was a woman with the jalal in her, for women from Bani Hashim. I saw her from a distance standing at the door of a burning tent. Allah. I don't know if you have seen the reenactments of the Khaybaga being burnt. You know, a burning building. It is so difficult for a person to be in a building that is on fire. People jump out from burning buildings and they would rather die from a 50th floor than to burn to death. There is a burning tent and there is a woman who is refusing to leave that burning tent. Allah, Allah. Hamid ibn Muslim says, I called out from a distance and I said, oh woman, this is a burning tent. Do you not run for your life from there? Leave as soon as you can. The woman refused to answer. Hamid ibn Muslim went a little bit closer. He said, oh woman, do you want to burn yourself to death inside of the tent? A voice came out with the painful cry inside. Zainul Abidin is in the tent. This was Sayyida Zainab, sometimes trying to pull out Sajjad from the burning tent. The narrations mention the sickness of Imam Zainul Abidin was such that he was not able to move at all from inside the Khaymaga. Allah, Allah. This is why the poet says, do not ask me how many birds Sayyida Zainab got on her body, saving Zainul Abidin. The tents are burnt. And there are those whose ears are bleeding. And there are those who have fainted. And there are those who are slapped. And there are the two children who have passed away. The tents have become into ashes. The enemies have gone to the other side of the Maidan and they are celebrating and beating war drums. Sayyida Zainab alayha salam. Sayyida Zainab alayha salam, with all her courage and all her strength, she buried her grief for Imam al-Hussein. And she brought out that strength and she gathered all the children. She gathered all the women together from the children, Ruqayya and Safiya and Atika and Sayyida Khawla and all of them. And she hugged them, Imam Baqir alayhi salam, she hugged them. And one by one, she put these children to sleep. But these are children who are sleeping on the deserts under the open sky. How can the children fall asleep? These are children who are not falling. Sometimes a child falls asleep because they are tired. Sometimes a child falls asleep because they have been active throughout the day. Sometimes a child falls asleep just because they are too terrified to keep their eyes open anymore. This is the children of Ali Muhammad. Sayyida Zainab puts the children to sleep. The children have gone to sleep. After she has counted them, she gathers all the women. Where is Layla? Where is Farwa? Where is Ramla? Where is Khadija? She gathers all these women. And there is one woman whose tears are flowing, but she's not talking at all. She's not talking at all. And even when the tents were burning, she didn't even scream. This woman stopped talking. She was crying, but she stopped talking from the Asr of Ashura. This woman was Sayyidah Rabab alayhi salam. From the burning tent, she cried out, the cradle of my baby Ali al-Asghar. Sayyidah Zainab gathers all the women. She gathers all the children. Children have gone to sleep. The women are in one place. Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam is between all of them. Calmness. Some type of calmness has come. As everyone is under control. This is Sayyidah Zainab now. She's the leader of the Qafila. She stands up. She stands up to communicate with her Lord and to recite Salah. Allah. Sayyidah Zainab, on this night, I don't know which 2 rakat Salah you recited or which Salat you recited. The narration mentions Sayyidah Zainab is about to begin her Salat in the Takbiratul Ihram. At this moment, she sees a horseman with a niqab approaching towards her. Sayyidah Zainab looks at him and she says, oh man, our tents have just been looted. Oh man, our khaymas, our tents have been burnt down to the ground. We have nothing remaining from possessions to give you. The horseman with a niqab slowly continues towards Sayyidah Zainab. Sayyidah Zainab al-Kubra says, oh man, I beseech you, if you do not believe my words and you want to loot anything, come tomorrow during the day. The children have just fallen asleep. Have mercy. Children who have lost their fathers during the day. The man continues to appear on the horse with his niqab closer towards Sayyidah Zainab al-Kubra. Sayyidah Zainab becomes worried. She looks towards the right. She looks towards the left. She picks up a broken spear from the plains of Karbala. She picks up a broken spear and she says, oh man, I swear to you by Allah, I am Zainab the daughter. I am Zainab, the daughter of Ali ibn Abi Talib. As soon as she said this, the horseman threw himself from on top of the horse. He removed his niqab. He said, oh Zainab, this is your father Ali. Zainab, this is your father Amir al-Mu'mineen. Come to me, Zainab. You have taken care of everyone. Zainab, you have taken care of everyone. Zainab, Amir will take care of you tonight. مات بحسين مات بزينب.
Sham-e-Ghariban